Welcome back to another conscious production. Glad you can join us. Today we're going to talk about procrastination threats. Again, procrastination threats. Stay tuned to part 2 of this. I will give you some remedies to try to correct, not try, but to correct the procrastination. Today's quote is brought to you by Paulo Coelho. He says, "It was my fear of failure that first kept me from attempting the masterwork. Now, I'm beginning what I could have started 10 years ago." This aligns with today's topic of procrastination threats. I want to put my definition on what procrastination is. Procrastination is when you allow what you said you were going to do be distracted by what you intended to do. Translation meaning, hey, I said I was going to go to the store, but this happened, in which now has not allowed me to go to the store. What I notice about most people that procrastinate, they beat themselves up so much that they start believing the ideology that the world is telling them. Or, for instance, saying, oh, you're lazy, or you're undisciplined, or you're a failure, or you're hopeless. Stop putting yourself through that. It's not going to help. But one of the procrastination threats is woke up late. You know how it is, or how sometimes it can be, and say, okay, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to work out, read something positive, and I'm going to get to work on time. And what tends to happen, you probably get up about a little before it's time to get really actually ready and out the door. Take a fast shower, get dressed really fast, and you're just running. It's like you're on the go. It's like, man, and then you beat yourself up and say, if I would have just gotten up a little bit earlier, this would have been different. Okay, that particular procrastination threat didn't get your attention. How about the next one? Television. Oh, aren't we all just guilty of this? Is where you're watching a show and says, okay, after the show goes off, I'm going to go to bed and call it a night. I want to make sure I can start my day off really well the next day. And what happens? Well, what ends up happening is you start watching the next show and the next show. And by the time you look up, it's 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, oh, man, why can't I just turn the TV off just like I said I was after the original show that I was watching was going to turn on? Here's another procrastination threat that it's happened to us all. We're all can be looped into this group of people where the telephone rings. You're sitting there, you're working on a task, and you see the person that's calling you like, oh, let me just call them back. And then you're like, no. Before you answer the phone, you give yourself a pep talk. Okay, when I answer this phone, I'm going to let them know I'm working on something, and I'll call them back after I finish. And you answer the phone and they start talking and you're like, and I know it just sounded so good that when you answer the phone, you had a plan already set. Like, I want to tell them, call them back in 15 or 30 minutes, or however long you thought that particular task you were working on to finish, that you would just make sure that, hey, I'll write this person's name down and I'll give them a call and we can talk later. Here is one of the final procrastination threats. And I know we've all been there, where you go on the internet, you have a goal in mind to say, hey, I'm going to create a video, or I'm going to read some information, and you may go to another page to look up to do some research, and bam. And that bam is really a reference of either a pop-up page, or you started going down the wrong trail of the research that you originally started with, and you started reading about something else, or finding discovery about something else, and 30 minutes go by, an hour goes by, the next time you look up, it's 3 hours that went by. And now you look up at the time and say, man, all this time has went by, and what have I accomplished? I felt like I've just been wasting my time. And you go into pity mode, victim mode, because you're frustrated, which is understandable. You're frustrated because that wasn't your intentions. Here are my closing thoughts, family, on procrastination threats. Of course, I'm going to provide you solutions, but they will be in part 2 of this video. I hope that you'll enjoy them. I know that you'll enjoy them because, hey, who doesn't want to fix areas in their life that they procrastinate? Thank you for watching the content today, family. Hit the subscribe button right now. Follow us on Twitter at conscious3. This channel was built for educational purposes, so I can learn from you can learn from me, and we can learn together. Stay determined, stay healthy, stay mindful, and stay disciplined.